worry, really, for us is that if they do get it, what is the actual implications going to be for us poor people living in England?
Yeah, that was my question.
Well, we get rid of a very expensive neighbour, because from what I can understand, from everything I've heard, Scotland's costing us a fortune.
Why don't you get real sometimes? You know, I mean, I know you're a Liberal Democrat, but the trouble is, you know, if you got real, what is this country going to do? They're going to do exactly the same as we're doing to all of these African countries and all this. We're going to plough billions into foreign aid to Scotland, so that they survive.
Oh, I see. There is, yes, we do have a humanitarian responsibility towards our northern cousins.
You know, we've got to keep them supplied with kilts and things like that. You know?
They need their kilts and their deep fried
whiskey
pies.
Yeah,
and stuff like
that.
I think you are actually. If you are stereotyping Englishmen against Scottish, I think you've just done a very good job.
Well, of course. I mean, look, I think that Scotland leaving the United Kingdom would be a disaster for all of us, quite frankly. I think we are stronger and better together. I mean, I love a joke, like a joke about it. I like to make it fun because, well, it's not for any other reason than you know, a sense of humour in politics. I think is frequently a missing ingredient, but. You know, to lose Scotland as part of the United Kingdom would just be, I think, a terrible thing for all of us. I think Scotland's better in the United Kingdom. I think the United Kingdom's better in Europe. And I think Europe ought to take a bigger position in the world.
And so say all of us. And so say all of us.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
Thank you. What about Mr Cameron, though? Should he quit if Scotland says yes? Because he apparently...
He should quit anyway.
I led you into that one, didn't I?
I mean, he's opposed.
What's the alternative, though? What's your
Boris.
No, I meant the other party.
Boris Johnson's going to... Look, Boris Johnson is going to go for it. I mean, he said, no, I'm not going to stand as an MP. 10 minutes later, he's standing as an MP. He said, no, I'm not going to stand as leader. Right, the leader of the Conservative Party, if Scotland say yes...
But isn't he typical of most politicians?
If Scotland leave the United Kingdom, you cannot have a Prime Minister of the United Kingdom that's actually caused the breakup of the United Kingdom. He has to resign.
Hey, hang on a minute.
Well, there are precedents to this.
You know who...
Cameron?
It wasn't Mr Cameron, it was Mr Blair who started all this.
No, it wasn't.
Of course it was.
Blair's innocent.
Oh, sorry.
Where is Blair innocent?
Well, you just look at him. He looks innocent. I've seen the Splitting Image.
Splitting Image.
Yes,
Splitting Image.
He was a bit of both, wasn't he?
Freudian slip there.
Yeah.
That's all gone quiet.
I think we're all in agreement on one thing. I think there is one thing that unites us all around this table, that it wouldn't be the best thing for Scotland to be not part of the United Kingdom. Am I correct on that, gentlemen?
I think you're correct, yes. But how close are we to it going independent? I mean, it's now suddenly looking quite close, isn't it?
I mean, if you look at Quebec, if you look at what happened in Quebec, and that's the nearest parallel, the Yes campaign, in effect, peaked 2 weeks too early in Quebec, and it was something about 0.25% they actually rejected it. And I think it would be 2 or 3%. The latest opinion poll had 52-48 for no, and I think that on Thursday it will be no. And I think if you actually look at the way the Yes campaign have had no arguments, when they've been challenged on arguments as opposed to rhetoric, they have actually struggled, and I think that will be the final. People will vote and just say, well, we haven't had the answers to all the questions. They haven't proven the case for independence. Well, emotionally they have, but not intellectually.
Salmon's mob have been going around quoting Braveheart.
Well, the classic one is, they're saying the NHS is not safe in the Union. Well, sorry, the Scottish Government actually have the power over the NHS in Scotland.
Yes.
So that's Alex Salmond. Mm-hmm. So if the NHS is under threat in Scotland, it's because of Alex Salmond, nobody else.
Indeed, and the Scottish political elite are determined to actually have their fingers in the pot when it comes to the NHS, and the things that are going on in Holyrood are just amazing.
But if you look back in history and see why Scotland came into the Union in the first place, because of a banking crisis and because of the political elite in Scotland wanting to do a deal to get part of the Great Britain expansion, it's rather ironic we're having this referendum in the current economic climate.
I thought it was all to do with Hadrian's Wall, the fact that it was falling down and they couldn't find anybody to repair it, so...
Well, I mean, if they do leave the union, that will actually provide some employment locally, because obviously we've clearly got to rebuild the wall.
Yeah, well, I suppose that's higher.
And those people up in the northeast that are currently, doing their pheasant running or chasing or whatever they do, shooting and having fun and going out and hunting and all that good stuff, they're going to have to stop all that and go and build a wall.
I suppose they will, won't they? Yeah. You're listening to Secklow Sounds Community Radio from Milton Keynes. It's exactly 20 minutes past 8 o'clock here in Milton Keynes. It's a sort of, a bit of an overcast day, but apparently the weather forecast for the weekend is pretty good. I hope it is where you are. Because, of course, Secklow Sounds goes all the way around the world. We have listeners in India and Switzerland, Canada, France, Canada. Moss too, yes, indeed. So, excuse me. If you'd like to join...
Milton Keynes too.
Yeah, if you'd like to take part in the programme, then all you have to do is send us an email to radio@secklowsounds.org, radio@secklowsounds.org, and, we can include you in the programme, and we'd love to hear your views. I'm Mike Barry.
I'm Bob Bluffield.
I'm Brian White.
I'm Alan Malyon.
And together, of course, we are...
the Grumpy Old Men.
On a Saturday morning.
I noticed the Toronto Mayor, Rob Ford, has withdrawn his re-election bid.
Oh, thank God for that.
Yeah.
He seeks treatment for a tumour on his abdomen.
Yeah, well,
He's ended his campaign. He's pursued despite this persistent calls him to quit amid drug and alcohol scandals.
Yeah, his brother is going to stand in his place.
His brother's standing in his place. Is he just as bad? Is he?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, that's Canadian news, and we're
I just thought it was interesting.
But that's propagating that myth again, isn't it? Within drug and alcohol. So when was alcohol not a drug?
We've never said it isn't,
But everybody quotes it.
No, you keep jumping on your bandwagon about this.
Yeah, I do.
Alcohol being a drug and all this.
Well, so is caffeine.
Yeah, so is caffeine. And I'll tell you what, I'm a druggie. I'm a lovely druggie because I love my gin and tonic.
Do you?
Yeah, my Guinness.
And your beer.
My beer.
I mean, on a serious point, there's more people die from prescription drugs
Yeah, that's right.
than from illegal.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of people who are addicted to prescription drugs that are actually, and that is as big a scandal as some of the things. We actually need a Royal Commission to look at the whole of the drugs policy in this country.
Yeah, well, we've had a few people look at it. We had Professor Nutty, didn't we, or Nuttall, or what his name was.
Nuttall, was it not Nutty?
And he came back with the truth and was instantly fired by
Absolutely
the politicians because
yes.
the politicians are not capable of dealing with reality.
Well, no, they're running scared of the Daily Mail.
Yeah. They can't deal with
there
it.
are other newspapers, we must say, and especially
but none as bad as the Daily Mail.
like the Daily Express. Britain's worst scourges, they're going to be ordered to attend classes from 9 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock. Ministers say that the strict 8-hour, 5-day-a-week regime will help people find work and cut welfare bills.
Yeah.
What planet do these people live on?
You know one of the things that they're not allowed to do is go to a job interview. If they go to a job interview instead of going on that course, then they lose their benefits.
Yeah. It's ludicrous, isn't it?
That one out?
Well, that's a crazy thing. If they go to a job interview...
Who came up with this?
That would be a Conservative minister, I
Ian
suspect.
Duncan Smith.
Yeah. Was it really?
IDS, yeah.
So he actually saying, we're going to penalise the benefits claimants, and if they try and get off the backside and do something about it and get work, we'll penalise them even more.
And you know the next Tory plan, don't you?
Isn't it?
It's an Alice in Wonderland.
I believe the next Tory plan is if you actually sleep in a double bed, all right, that you will get taxed for that spare bed space.
I think it's quite right.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely. I mean, Ian Duncan Smith is sitting there plotting that particular one
So how
now.
does it work with bunk beds?
Well, there you have to have a special dispensation.
So you mean we'll have the bed police
very
now?
well, do they?
We'll have the bed police round now, then?
Yeah,
We've got those already, haven't we?
Yeah, that's what this bedroom tax is all about, isn't it? You're not allowed to have a spare room in case you have a friend stay overnight.
Talking about taxes and things like that, the pensioners, they should pay more in tax for the National Health Service and social care, says a think tank. What a brave think tank, eh? Free television licences for those over 75 should also go. And only those most in need should get a winter fuel payment. And anyone who works past pensionable age should no longer be exempt from the 12% national insurance charge. And that's according to the King's Fund Commission on the Future of Health and Social Care in England. Doesn't mention Scotland and Wales, does it?
No, and that's going to make the King's Fund an extremely popular organisation. Who's behind it? A bunch of private businessmen, really, I think.
Yeah, but the Tories, are they?
No, it's actually, in my experience, has always been pretty fair. And it's actually come up, and it commissions research and provokes debate. And I think it's actually a really good organisation in provoking debate. And I suspect that the research behind that is actually far more balanced than the reporting of it.
But, you know, I've done my own little bit of research into a lot of these things. And if you take, for instance, the free bus pass, right, which everybody over the age of 60, 65, is debatable but what that age is, but they're entitled to the free bus pass. But there is a great majority of pensioners who do not have a bus pass because they've never been on a bus, you know. And it's exactly the same with the winter fuel allowance. So lots of them, when they get the winter fuel allowance, they just pass that check straight on to Willen Hospice or something like that. You know,
fine.
So, you know, this business, and you know,
but it comes down to, Mike, do you have targeted benefits, or do you and means tested benefits, or do you have a universal benefit?
This is the whole thing, isn't it? Because sometimes
a universal
it's more
benefit
costly.
That's the point.
That's the point. It's more costly to try and means test people.
Yeah.
Than it is to just put it across the board. And also, as I say, money circulates because those people, for instance, who are eligible for bus passes don't take them, so they're not costing them.
I've never used it as a bus pass. I've used it as ID for getting into places like museums and such, where you get a discount.
Well, you see, I use my bus pass regularly. You know, I mean, I used it on Wednesday when I went down to London to ITV.
A certain TV show. Yeah.
Got to get it. No, it didn't take. Well, it took me half an hour nearly. You know, so. But no, I mean, I use my bus pass quite regularly because at the end of the day, I'm pretty fortunate because I walk outside my house and put my hand up on the bus stops, you know. Does it
know it's you then?
Yeah, of course it does.
Oh.
And it takes
now you've been on TV.
It takes me up to Central Milton Keynes, and I get out, I do my shopping, and I come back, and I get on the bus, and when I get round to my house, I ring the bell, and the driver says, "Oh, Mike, here we are," and stops
right outside your house.
Virtually right outside my house. Some of them are a bit naughty because they say, you know, they start going down the road, you know, and I go, "Well, hang on a minute, you know." And he says, "Well, go stop me on a bend, mate, you know." Well, I don't live on a bend, do I? You know.
It's not usual bus driver, and we always stop on bends.
Well, yes, I know. But, I mean, coming back down to it, is we know, you know, the remark you made just now, Brian, absolutely sensible, completely. For a Labour person, it's great, you know. But you know, the fact,
if a little unusual,
the fact that yes, means testing or just a blanket benefit. But why is it that the man in the street can see this, but the politicians and the think tanks, you know, can't? Because it just beats me. I don't understand it. These are intelligent people, allegedly.
Aren't these people devoid from the man in the street, though? Don't they live in a sort of a little bubble?
Yeah. I mean, it is amazing how easy it is to be divorced from reality down in the Westminster Village, because you've got journalists, civil servants, politicians, many of whom are from the same background, and they're all in the same area, and they talk to themselves, and Westminster's like a little village, and they all talk the same language, the same shorthand, and it's very easy to get caught up in that and forget that there's a real world out there.
I suppose this is the sort of thing when you talk to one of them and you say, you know, how much is a pint of milk or a loaf of bread, you know, and they go, you know, oh, yeah, 23 pence or something, you know. They must go to...
I've got no idea how much a pint of milk is.
Well, it varies. It varies tremendously. I mean, I buy my milk from a well-known big American wholesaler in Milton Keynes, and it's pretty cheap. But if you go to Tesco's, it's considerably more expensive.
What I do know is that actually there is something very wrong when a pint of milk is cheaper than a pint of water in a supermarket. That I cannot understand.
Well, a pint of water is an astronomical price, isn't it?
I mean, I'm just thinking about the poor old farmers, the work they do to produce the milk for us.
The poor old farmers, you know, we've seen poor old farmers, haven't we? You know, like there's some politicians in Milton Keynes who are farmers, you know. Anyway, you're listening to Secklow Sounds, community radio for Milton Keynes, 29 minutes past 8 o'clock.
MK Flyers Online, the fast and simple way to find any kind of business or service locally. Find us at mkflyersonline.co.uk or download the MK Flyers mobile app from your app store. MK Flyers Online proudly supports Secklow Sounds, community radio for Milton Keynes.
Bringing people and communities together on SecklowSounds.org.